So ever since high school, I've had this obsession with plastic surgery. I wouldn't say that it was so much an insecurity or that I felt I had any kind of body dysmorphia that I wanted to change myself. It was more the experience. So for my 21st birthday, as a birthday present to myself, I decided to go and have a rhinoplasty or a nose job. So I was working in the fashion industry. I knew all of the models and the makeup artists and stylists, and I found out who was doing, the who's who's faces and face work, because that's an important thing in plastic surgery, is that you make sure that your doctor specializes in one thing. Most plastic surgeons, or really good plastic surgeons, will really specialize and refine their art in terms of one thing and do mostly face work and operation that they're very well known for. So if you want to get your boobs done, you go to a doctor who is amazing and well known for doing beautiful boob jobs. You do not go to a dentist that does Botox, boob jobs and nose jobs, because that is not going to turn out well for you. So this doctor was an absolute cliche when I went there. He looked the way that a plastic surgeon would look in a soap opera. He was like a silver fox, like not too old, but like slightly graying. And his receptionist, I loved her. She was proper cliche that I think any receptionist for a plastic surgeon should be. She had so much done. Her cheeks was full, her lips were inflated, her nose was whittled down, she was pulled so taut. And he clearly practices on her, and she obviously is the kind of person who likes that very done look. So I went to have my consultation with him, and that went down well, except he was clearly intent on using his technique. And although I walked out of the consultation believing that the doctor is going to do what I wanted him to do on my nose, I didn't realize that he's got a recipe with which he sticks with. And I don't think that makes him a bad doctor. It's just his technique and his preference. I wouldn't say he seemed like the kind of person who was a one-size-fits-all plastic surgeon, because you do get a lot of doctors like that. What I later learned was that he used his technique, and it was not necessarily what I wanted, but I was happy with how my nose turned out. He was right in following his technique, so I can admit that in that sense, even though I said I don't want you to do that to my nose, it did work for me. I was so prepared. I stopped smoking. I stopped taking any kind of medications that could possibly make you bleed or could interfere in some way with your results, your recovery, and also your reaction of your body during the procedure. I checked in the day before the procedure, stayed overnight at the hospital, and then the next morning I was the first patient. And I was so stressed. I was lying on that bed and I already had the IV in me, and they were like pushing me on the trolley. And I remember looking over at one of these huge windows overlooking this park, and I thought, I can just like rip the IV out, get off the bed and jump through the window and run out of here. Like I was really having thoughts like that for real. And I was pushed in, and they ask you to count backwards from 10, and it's like you count to 7 and then you're gone. So all of this is fine, going to the procedure, and then I wake up. I wake up during the operation. I wanted to look around at what they're doing, of course, and I couldn't look around. I could just hear what was going on around me. The radio was on. It was on some regional radio station, and I was surprised at how many people there were. They were really chatty. The vibe was so relaxed, which was reassuring, I suppose. But they were not speaking about medical things. They were speaking about their kids at school. And then he cut me. He cut me, and I could feel everything. And I was like, oh my, it was the most intense pain ever. Like literally, it was so bad that even though I couldn't see anything at that moment, everything became white. And what was shocking to me was how quickly he cut it. You wouldn't think that a surgical incision would be made that quickly. Then I was hysterical. Then like complete panic set in. And I was like, I have to show these people that I'm awake, and I want to tell them, but I couldn't open my eyes and I couldn't move anything. I thought I'd be able to like move my fingers or anything. Nothing like that. You are, in that moment, your body is a cage and you're trapped inside of it. And so they made the second incision that was incredibly painful. And then the next time that I kind of knew what was going on, I was back in the room already, and they told me that the operation was finished and that I was in recovery. My family was with me, my mum and my sister was there, and my sister came in, looked at me and left. And apparently my mum said she had like a complete breakdown in the hallway of the hospital. She was so traumatized because I looked terrible. One of the nurses came to me and she said, you know, I was there and it looked so beautiful. Your nose is going to look amazing. You really don't need to worry. Before the operation, I said to her, has the doctor ever botched anything? Has he ever had any patients who sued him or anything like that? And she was not happy about me asking that. She was super uncomfortable, and actually she seemed angry. And she said to me, you know what, if you're not sure about doing this operation, then don't do it. So anyway, back to the doctor. He's next to my bedside. He's checking on me, and he asked me how I'm feeling. And I said, you know, I had the weirdest dream. I dreamt that I could feel you doing the operation on me, and I could feel you cutting, and I can hear you speaking, and you were listening to this radio station. He was like, that explains. And he said that on the monitors, where they measure your heart rate and your blood pressure and all of these things, and your breathing and all of these things, I had this spike, and it clearly, like, they knew something was wrong, and then the anaesthetist gave me basically more drugs, I assume. He seemed very worried about this and really concerned, and I will pay for therapy for you, you can go to counseling. And I was like, no, I don't need counseling, I'm not worried, I'm not stressed. And he was like, no. I'll write you a script and you're going to get more tranquilizers, which partly could have been part of the post-operation protocol. I went back to him for the follow-up. The doctor said to me, you must, whenever you have any more procedures or other procedures or operations, you have to tell the doctor that you had this very bad reaction. He said to me, it has happened only twice to him in his career, and it was with the same anaesthetist. And he was like telling me how good she is, and it's not something you can predict, you just never know with anesthesia. And he showed me the printouts of like where my heart rate spiked and the blood pressure dropped and all of these, like, just, you can actually see it on these lines, how your body changed in that moment. I called him up when I had to go in for another operation. It wasn't a vanity thing or cosmetic or anything. I called him and I said, I don't know how to explain what happened to me in medical terms, so can you just tell me, or give me like a short note to say what happened, because I need to tell my next doctor. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, really? And I thought, okay, maybe he sees a lot of patients and maybe he just forgot it. So I reminded him and he was like, that didn't happen. Sorry, can't help you. And I emailed him and I said to him, I'm kind of in disbelief. Like, I gave him the date of my operation. I said, you must have files. Of course you have files. You're a doctor. They legally have to keep those documents to protect themselves if anything went wrong. You must have notes of this. You can go back and check to see what happened and just give me a report or give me a printout of what happened on the day. And never responded. Wouldn't speak to me, didn't take my calls. And I thought it was actually pretty unethical, because now I had to go in and get a procedure. I don't have anything to prove it, information or the correct information to give to my new doctor. So that is something that I learned about doctors, that there are some very unscrupulous people. I don't say that that surgeon was unscrupulous at all. I was satisfied with my results. I would say that I was 70% happy with what he did. I wanted my nose smaller. I wanted it much smoother. He didn't remove the bump in my nose completely. He didn't make my nose as narrow as I wanted. He didn't refine the tip as much as I wanted. I suppose I was lucky because I wasn't botched. I didn't die. And having an okay nose job is much better than something going terribly wrong. I still need to get to that place of perfection that I had in mind. I can say that if you have the money and if you are healthy, although being healthy is not a predictor of whether your body is going to react to anesthesia or not, go for it. Go for the procedure. It will change your confidence so much. You should always do it for yourself. Never do it for anybody else. Do it because it's something that bothers you about you, or something that you know will make you feel better about you, not specifically for a specific other person or for a group of people or for any reason like that. Do it because you want it, because you can afford it, because you found the right doctor, and because you trust that your doctor is going to do the best for you and is going to give you the results that you want. The surge of confidence that you get after cosmetic surgery, it is a high that you go through. Of course it wears off like anything else, but you feel so confident. You can go into a club or into a social setting without a drink, without cigarettes, without worrying about anything. You just feel like you look amazing. And that is incredible, and I think that's why I would recommend it to anybody, whether it is surgery, whether it is makeup, whether it is going to the gym, although I don't have a lot of experience with that. I think transforming yourself and changing your life is an incredibly powerful thing and can do so much for you. So go out and get it and do it for yourself.